Welcome to Outside the Box, the podcast devoted to supporting Central PA's small business. I'm your host, Derek Bixler. You can see to my left here, I have Dylan. I didn't ask again how you say your last name. Gehr?
Yeah, you're pretty close. It's Gehr.
Gehr, Dylan Gehr.
Yeah.
Of DJG, which is hard to say, Media. And I looked you up, and I am excited to talk about what we're going to talk about today, generating leads for service businesses. And there's a typo there. See, that's why I bring those things up. I didn't bring this one up before the show with him. Usually I have them checked for typos and everything. But before we get to Dylan, like I said, I'm your host, Derek Bixler, realtor and digital marketing geek right here in Central PA. I grew up on the hill in Harrisburg, went to Mechanicsburg High School, go Wildcats, and went up to Penn College of Technology. I think they just we called it Penn Tech back then, but I think they've changed it to Penn College. It sounds less, better, I guess. Then I came back here, had a few different sales jobs before I started selling real estate 15 glorious years ago. If you need to buy or sell a house, please reach out to me, text me, email me, throw a rock through my window, send a carrier pigeon, whatever you need to do. We still really need inventory. You might hear that things are dying down slightly, and they are slightly, ever so slightly, but it still is an awesome time to sell. Plus, all those prices are still up. So it's not like everything's coming down. The prices are still up and will be for a little while. So reach out to me. If you want to subscribe to our email, go to supportcentralpa.com to get networking mixer updates and invites, episode announcements, and exclusive special offers, of which we will have one from Dylan and DJG Media. Said it better that time. At the end of the episode, we'll plug that. If you are on Clubhouse, follow me. I'm at Agent Derek. We'll be having a room soon. A reminder to ask questions in the comments. And actually, we have one already. Let's see what they said. Do you know Marshall Adler? Nobody thinks lead generation is easy. Nobody does. That's right. Well, that's why we're talking about it, Marshall. Well, some people do, I think. They think I get the calls anyway. We'll talk about it, Dylan. I get the calls. I want to run some Facebook ads. All right, hold on. What they think, they do think it is easy. So, and then when they start doing it, that's when they think it's hard. So anyway, ask a question in the comments or say hi to us, or challenge us a little bit like Marshall did. Challenge us, and maybe we can reply to what you're saying. And a reminder that all the replays are on YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, everywhere you want to consume your content, and soon to be on iTunes and all the audio platforms whenever I get around to uploading them. And now, without further ado, Dylan Gehr, DJG Media. Did I get it all right that time?
Yes, sir. You're good.
From DJG Media with us today. And we're going to talk about generating leads for service businesses. I did not do the typo on that one. I must have typed it separately for lead businesses. And I looked up your website, and you basically do sales funnels for service businesses. So let's start by telling everybody about your personal background before we talk about digital marketing and all the sales funnels. So where'd you grow up?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Very similar to you. Grew up in the central, kind of southeastern Pennsylvania region. I'm from Lancaster County, specifically closer to Shady Maple. If you're a local to the area, you probably have known or heard of Shady Maple, very close to there. But I grew up here my whole life, pretty much. Family's kind of all over. My mom's side's from Massachusetts. My dad's from originally here. So I've kind of grown up here my whole life. Went to Garden Spot High School in Lancaster, played sports, went to college at Kutztown. I loved sports growing up, so my major was sports management. I thought that was going to kind of be the route that I wanted to go. Had a minor in communications, and just kind of went down the marketing path instead, which has been great. I have family members in marketing and entrepreneurial different things in businesses, so it's been great to kind of get to bounce ideas off of them and have similar interest in that kind of stuff. But very, very simple background. Have a couple brothers and sisters. Got an awesome wife that I met in high school, and just very, very simple background.
So what sports? What did you play?
So I played basketball, soccer, and track up until high school. And then I was a really big soccer player. So I just kind of overtook my life, and I kind of focused on that specifically throughout high school.
And you played all high school at Kutztown? Did you play there?
So Kutztown, they actually do not have like a school team. So I kind of played club just for fun. But I knew it wasn't really going to be my future. So I kind of actually decided to go into the coaching kind of side of things. So I went back to my high school, been coaching there ever since. So I'm still heavily involved as much as I can be.
Awesome. Yeah, I like to stay active too. So, and you're still young. You don't have kids yet, do you? Or did you? You have one.
I have one on the way, October. She'll be born in October.
Yeah. That's awesome. Girl, right?
Yes, sir. Yep.
And how long you been married?
2 years. 2 years in September.
Awesome. And Kutztown, if you didn't play, what did you major in again? You had a minor in communications. What was the major again?
So sports management. So I like to tell everyone, you basically just learn business, and they just put sports in front of it to like make it sound super fun and fancy. You basically just learn like everything business related, and they just like compare it to sports. So you take accounting, you actually take sports accounting, where you just like learn accounting side of things for like professional sports teams and those kind of things. So it's basically a business degree, just they make it sound all fancy.
And is there some kind of graduate program you could go to in that field if you wanted to?
You can you can like master in sports management. I'm not really sure what the difference is, but most people go down the route of like athletic director, or they try to like work for a professional sports team. You can kind of go down that route. I did have an internship with like the Reading Phillies and those type of things, but you can kind of go down that direction, which is pretty cool. But it's pretty wide open. Some people literally just want to be college coaches. Some people want to be athletic directors. There's a variety of things you can do within it.
Gotcha. So after that, so you majored in that. That doesn't have anything to do with marketing.
No.
But you did have a minor in communications, which kind of does. Was it the kind of communications? So I took one of the semesters, I changed my major a couple of times. I took mass communications at Penn Tech, and part of that was like you could be the DJ on the radio, and it was kind of like a broadcast side of it. But it was a tech school, so we were kind of like the techie kind of side of it. So what was your communication? What kind of classes did you take?
Yeah, it was more of like speaking and writing, very basic communication skills. Learn how to public speak, communicate, different writing aspects. You learn persuasion and a bunch of things that kind of relate to business. It was very easily to add it to my minor with still fitting into my curriculum. So I kind of went down that route instead of choosing some random minor that had nothing to do with anything that I was going to do. So
sure, it might help with copywriting too.
It does. You do learn a lot, and persuasion was a very cool class that learns a lot. You learn a lot about copywriting and kind of how people think. And I think that's kind of one of the cool things about marketing is you get to think about and learn into how people think and how they're acting based on, like you said, certain copy or different aspects. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Ryan Dice always says the best copywriter will win. You know, yeah. Ryan Dice is digital marketer guy. Yeah. So after college, what did you do? Did you go right into digital marketing? You said you had marketing kind of in the family. How does that relate?
Yeah. So actually it started when I was in college. So I knew like to pay the bills, you know, I had to get a college job. I had a lot of friends just like working at pizza shops and basic kind of stuff. And I didn't really want to do that. I kind of wanted to do something different. Something that would pay the bills, but also impact kind of my life moving forward. So what I did was I kind of reached out to a couple different companies and found a local kind of small construction company that I had a friend at. And basically I started out by just running their social media. I was like, I'm young. I know how social media works. So I was like, I can run yours. So I kind of started doing that part-time. And over time, I just kind of started picking up different marketing things throughout school and just my experience working there, and then kind of slowly took on more responsibility, and then ended up pretty much taking over the complete marketing aspects of the business for about 3 years. So then once college was done, I kind of just went full-time there for about 2 years more before going to my next job, where I was just a marketing director again, before ultimately starting my company. So a lot of marketing experience within bigger businesses before I kind of branched out on my own and wanted to help people my own way.
And what was the nature of the marketing before this business? What was it?
It's very similar things. But when you're working in-house at a company, you kind of have to cover all aspects. So like for me, when I sell marketing to other people or try to help them, I get to help them in the way that I want to help them, not in the way that I think works best, not the way that my boss might be telling me to, or kind of that fits the industry. You know what I mean? There's a lot of companies, smaller companies, that still want to do print. I don't really think print is successful anymore. So I don't really want to spend my time doing that. You also get the deal.
Be careful what you say. We've got some print people watching right now. Probably.
That's okay.
You got to merge the both. You got to have a QR code on that that awesome mailer, and then you got to retarget them with some ads later. Is how you do it.
Yeah, you do. It is good for certain industries. But so like for me, I got to deal with people similar in my shoes, right? Selling marketing services. And I didn't really like how it was done. So I was like, combined with, I kind of had that entrepreneurial spirit. I feel like I can do it better than some other companies that I was working with. So that kind of what led me down the path that I'm on right now.
So what was the first step? Did you just come up with the name, create an LLC and start offering services? Or what was the progression? What was maybe the first offering you came out with on your own?
Yeah, I mean, it was very similar. the name is kind of a tongue twister. It was very like, hey, like I got to just come up with something, and just kind of get started, or else I'm never going to do it. So yeah, I kind of just started part-time and started reaching out to people. Kind of got to work with some other companies that I knew, just kind of get my name out there. But I've started with what I was best at. So lead generation, social media, those type of things. And then it kind of started adding on slowly to that, to kind of where I'm at today. So very similar to what you said, just kind of started and went guns blazing from there on.
Awesome. And we're going to list out all your services and talk about it a little bit more after we talk about the topic, which is kind of what, before all those services you named, people are saying, what is that? What is that? What is that? So the term lead generation, let's just define that a little bit, or unpack the sales funnel or lead generation. What does that mean?
Yeah. So, I mean, I kind of like to start in the front, right? Is that I think people overthink kind of business and marketing as a whole. And it's really just like the process of generating awareness, or however you're going to bring anything really to your business, right? So that can be attracting clients, finding them, generating them, however you want to do it, whether it's organic, paid, cold. There's a variety of different marketing strategies. But within that, it's like, how do you handle those leads? So even though leads are very important, the funnel and what a sales funnel properly does is take those leads, converts them into sales meetings, clients, whatever your goals are. So for me, when I kind of wanted to start and wanted to really focus on providing the best possible service, I figured I broke down business into kind of three main categories, right? There's marketing, there's sales, and then there's delivery, fulfillment, however you want to call it. So if I can kind of automate and systemize the kind of front end process, so the people can really just focus on the sales and the delivery part, then I'm providing a service that a lot of people would want. And I felt like there was a lack in the market of that. So it was kind of like a perfect combination. So I think leads are great, but it's how do you manage them? How do you find them within your market? And then how to convert them into your desired goal.
Yeah, conversion matters is what I wrote down and circled a bunch of times, because you could generate leads all day. It's actually fairly easy. I don't want to say easy.
But no, you're not wrong.
You get a whole bunch of calls and clicks are easy to get, and views on videos, and we got 1,000 impressions or whatever, and it all looks great. But if nobody's converting and your landing page has nothing to do with your ad, and everybody bounces, meaning they leave as soon as they get to your page, or it's slow and they never even get to your page and they bounce, the conversion matters. So what you're saying is looking at it in a more holistic approach and slowing down with the customer and saying, hold on, let's look at the big picture before we just start generating leads, even though that's the term we put to it. There's more to it than that.
Exactly. And when you said it, is completely right. The generating the leads is the easy part. It's how do you handle them once you get them, whatever that process is. That's the more important part, and the thing that we really stress.
Yeah, I was talking with a guy in my networking group. We both run the same Google local services ads, and he probably spends about the same budget I do, I'm guessing. And I think I'm getting more out of it just because mine goes right to my cell phone. I answer it every single time because I know it could be a Google call, and I don't want to make Google unhappy. Plus, I want that lead. And I actually got one today, and then met with this guy at 2:30. I just came from that meeting, and then I asked him right after that. This was during our meeting, and then I went to him and said, "Hey, how's yours going?" He said, "We get calls, but we're not getting much out of it." And I'm thinking, because it goes to his office, it goes to Barb or Ted or whoever's at the front desk who doesn't know how to convert leads or do anything with it. And even the guy I sat with today, he said, I was actually the second one when he Googled Harrisburg realtor near me or whatever, the Google local services ads. There was one before me and then me. And he said, I called that I just called the first one. He didn't answer. I didn't leave a message because I didn't want to wait. I called you, you answered. And then I'm sitting in his house pricing his house. So the conversion matters for sure. People waste money all the time. I ran Facebook ads and they don't work. That doesn't work. No, the Facebook ad worked. It was all the other stuff that probably didn't work.
Yeah. That's a very good point. What you said is the ads work. It's what you have behind them is what made you fail, not the advertising. So what you
ads could suck too, though. I've seen some pretty terrible ads.
Yeah, but if you're bringing the leads, the ads are doing their job. It's how you're handling them, and vice versa. So no, you make a great point. Yeah,
totally. So when you say generate leads, unpack that a little bit. How do you actually mechanically generate leads? Is it with Facebook's ads like we're talking about? Are there other avenues? Obviously you can run ads on all different platforms and do different things, but what does it mean?
And that's a great question. So I kind of like to think about it. It's like you're first, there's a couple 4 steps, and I kind of try to break it down into 4 steps, right? Is the first is you kind of want to figure out your market, which that will help determine what platform, and all these kind of do is determine that platform. And then the second one is, where does that market that you've determined, where do they hang out? Right. So I try to compare it to, like, when you go to the grocery store and you need milk, you don't go to like the dry foods aisle to find the milk. You go to the cold kind of refrigerator section to get it. So it's very similar. So what's your market? Kind of where do they hang out? So that would be where you attract them, and then target that specific area and then attract them through that, and then sell them, right? Just put your services in front of them, put your service, product, whatever that may be, put it in that area that they hang out. And that's really all it is. It's very simple. It's very overcomplicated, but the best ads in a terrible area won't work, and vice versa, right? Bad ads in a very good area aren't going to work. It needs to be the combination of the both. You got to have the right ads, but you got to have them in the right spot as well.
And what makes a good ad? Obviously, that's a very broad question, but are there any trends or anything that you're seeing right now that's a good bet on an ad? Kind of like rules of thumb that you might want to follow, like videos better than stills, yada, yada.
Yeah. So,
or maybe you disagree with that, which is fine too.
No. I mean, I think there's a variety of things that can affect ads, good or bad, right? Location will affect them. Cost will affect them, all the different types of things.
What do you mean my location? Placement?
Yes. So where
like feed versus stories versus words with friends app?
Yeah, exactly. So like people, if you're running Facebook ads, for instance, it's probably not the smartest to target specific areas within Facebook, right? Most people are on their news feed. They're on the stories, right? So let's spend majority of our budget in those areas because that's where majority of the people are hanging out. Also, is going to impact you is your area, right? So like Lancaster, Central PA, we have a decent amount of people, but if we go to kind of Northern PA, you have less people in a bigger area. So the ad costs are just going to be different. There's a variety of different things. Location will also play into what type of ads are going to be better to run. Some when there's a larger amount of people, they see more ads because there's just more people there. So you got to be more creative, and there's a lot of different things that go into it. But offering something that people want within the ad, being creative in terms of your copy, in terms of your images, your content, all those different types of things. There's a variety of things that play into it.
So you said something in there, offer, and you'll hear the term irresistible offer in digital marketing circles all the time. What's your offer? What's your offer? What's your offer? And everybody thinks, I mean, like, what are you giving away for free or whatever? And it should be some kind of offer and special, but you have to have some kind of unique selling proposition to serve up to people for them to click and make that step, because people aren't, especially on Facebook where they're doing something else and not looking for your product or services. You got to give them something special to click through and even look at your landing page. So what would be the example of an offer or something that somebody could do? Maybe service business based, since we're talking about service businesses kind of.
Yeah. I mean, an offer would be like, what are your pain points? What's your market trying, or like, what's your market's pain points? And once you can find them and know what they are, you can attack them, right? So people click on stuff that either hits them emotionally, hits them in an area that impacts them in some sort of way. So if you can target that, that's going to make them click, right? So if you're like, for you, if you're a real estate agent, right? So people are going to click on your thing if they feel that they can sell a home with you quickly, right? So if yours is all about time and speed and all those type of things, like that might be something that works for them. So it's kind of about those pain points and emotional triggers that you can find within your market.
And what are some typical, say, action steps or calls to action that you would have maybe on a Facebook ad for a service business? Because obviously you're not going to have a shop now button going to a product page to buy something right there. So what are some of the calls to action that service businesses might use?
Yeah, honestly, I mean, we've been finding extreme success with just learn more, right? We keep it very simple. We don't use any fancy buttons. It's just very learn more, click below, very simple. Because we feel if we can make it simple, the more people that click on it, the better. And then we let the conversion and the system behind it do the rest. You can kind of experiment with different things. I think that's the best thing about advertising, is that the only bad form of advertising is none at all. That's what I like to say. I think you can be successful in a variety of different ways. You know what I mean? You just kind of have to adjust, test things out, find what works best for you. What's working for you might not work for me, which is the cool thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, whatever you pick, you got to be consistent about it. Can't just say that thing doesn't work and I'm going to move on. That thing will work if you try it a little better next time, and then you try it a little better next time, and then after a year you start getting some results, hopefully faster than that. But even with Facebook ads and all that kind of stuff, you really are testing at the beginning. Nobody can say, I'm going to put this ad up and it's going to be perfect every time and get you this certain number. There's going to be some kind of learning curve. You have to be willing to spend some money to get some data to then work on the conversions. So talking about the conversions, after the ad, you get them, you have some kind of cool creative catches them. Then you have some good copy, you get them to click and learn more. And then they go to what happens then after they click learn more?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a variety of things you can do, right? You can get them to directly fill out some information, right? So you can then take their information, retarget them, enter them into some different sequences, however you kind of want to do with that information, or you can send them to like you talked about, you can put them through a sales funnel. You can put them to a landing page where then they take action on whatever it is you're trying to get. If you're offering some free content, if you're offering a special offer, there's a variety of things you can do to kind of convert them from there. And that kind of just triggers or starts the initial sales process and following up with those leads and just continue to nurture them in your pipeline.
So it sounds like typically you're getting somebody to click on something, and then hopefully you're capturing the lead as an email, phone number, maybe a couple qualifying questions, something like that. And then somebody gets the lead and is able to follow up with them. To get that information from people, you have to give them something. And I heard you say freebie. People like to call them lead magnets, maybe a PDF, free PDF guide download or something. Talk a little bit about that. What are some of the things you use to entice people to give an email address?
Yeah, no, great. I mean, great question. It goes back to very similar to what I said in the initial ad, right? It's all about the pain points, like something that you feel like your market would want. So, right. So that's kind of the initial marketing strat, where that goes back to the strategy phase, is finding those pain points, finding kind of what your market needs, and then using that to specifically attack that market. So if your ads and your landing page are very consistent in terms of, hey, we'll give you a free guide on how to sell a house, for example. Very similar, right? If that's what their customer wants, that's what's going to kind of work for them and attract them.
Yeah, or like, I don't know, 5 ways to get free money to buy your next house, or 10 pitfalls to avoid when selling a home, the complete home buyer's guide to buying a home, or whatever, stuff like that. And hopefully they need it at that time. And if your targeting's right, which kind of sucks for some businesses after some changes, but we all deal with it.
Yeah.
So, and what about, you also use the term sales funnel? We said it a couple of times during the episode. So when you said you might just go to click, they give their info, and then somebody is manually following up with them, calling them, doing whatever. But if they are entered into a sales funnel, what does that mean?
Yeah, so a sales funnel is really just kind of the process from initial awareness or attraction all the way to the sale, right? So there's many different steps along that. So that can be the initial awareness, to them taking action, to them continuing to nurture throughout the process of continuing to see multiple touch points or multiple pieces of content, to them taking intent, which would be giving you their information or scheduling a time to talk with you. So what we're doing is we're just automating and systemizing that entire process. So that can be a variety of different things, right? And everyone is different industries are gonna work different in certain things, right? Some people, emails are gonna work better. Some you might want to call them a bunch of times. Some you might want to send them free stuff, like you said, right? So this is kind of where we go through and put the best sales process in place for their industry. So it's most of the time a combination of different content, different emails, different touch points in text messages or phone calls, et cetera.
And you kind of have to talk to each business and see what the entry point into their sales funnel is. If the entry point into their sales cycle is a phone call, and we really want to get phone calls, we just want to talk to the person, then we're going to try to get the call button maybe, and put your phone number on everything, and put the phone number all over the website, and put a button to call right now and all that kind of stuff. But if you just want them to click somewhere and get an email address so we can market to them later, or retarget those people, which brings up a good question. Do you do a lot of retargeting. We'll talk about your packages in a minute, and I'm sure you have different tiers. So a true funnel is going to have a whole bunch of different ads, and somebody watched this and they get retargeted, and if they landed on it, they get retargeted, and if they sign up for the email, they get put into a bucket and also get emails along the way, and maybe calls and texts and everything. So what's the most basic funnel maybe, and then do you also use retargeting kind of? Do you build it out from there if somebody wants to get more complicated, or maybe you never have to? I don't know.
Yeah, we do retargeting. I mean, so the way that I like to look at it is if you're splitting up your advertising cost, right, you're going to have a certain percentage going to cold traffic, a certain percentage going to retargeting, and then the forms of advertising very different, right? So the cold is just initial attraction, getting them to take action on something, whether that's clicking on the ad, getting their information, et cetera. Where then if they're in a warm audience and you're retargeting them, it's to take further action. So that initial ad or touch point is going to be a little different. So the most basic sales funnel that there is, right, is you run ads to cold traffic, try to get their information in some sort of lead magnet. You try to enter them into an email sequence. If they break off anywhere along that line, you can retarget them to put them back through the email sequence to then get them to take action, whether that's buy a product, sign up for a sales call, whatever that may be. That's like the most basic, simple form of one that you kind of see the most.
And what are some ways to retarget people or remarket to people, or maybe define that term first and then tell us some different ways that you can remarket to people?
Yeah, I mean, so even just basic email, I mean, I'm sure anyone in here is getting hit with emails all the time from products that they've recently purchased or stores that they've gone to. Like all those are forms of them just retargeting you to get you to buy again. You can do advertising to people that engage with your content, people that have checked out your website. There's different tracking codes and all those type of things. That's a little bit more into the weeds of stuff, but you can pretty much retarget in any form of advertising, right? It's just anyone that's shown an interest in your content or in your service or product, whatever it may be, that if they take an action, you can use their information to kind of put them back into the sales process.
Yeah, you can basically do the same thing that Amazon and the shoe company that you were browsing. You can you follow them around. And my goal was always, if you show any kind of interest in any of my stuff, I want to follow you around in perpetuity forever until you die, unless you purposely go and turn this person off. Don't follow me around anymore.
Exactly.
If you can do that, there takes some actions, but
yeah, I mean, there's been some changes, but there's always going to be ways around it. So
that's why I'm a big fan of video. Videos, you can kind of have this never-ending kind of video that tails up. Anybody watch this one now sees this one, that gets old, and you turn that one off, and then anybody that sees this one watches the next one, and just keep it going. And I have other stuff going on as well, but a nice kind of awareness video campaign going at all times. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, technology is awesome. I'll just say that there's been a ton of cool things that have come out in terms of retargeting. YouTube does a great job of like recommending things based off of your retargeting, which is awesome. So there's a ton of platforms that you can really be successful with.
Do you get into YouTube ads, Google ads as well? All platforms, or are we talking about Facebook, Instagram?
So mainly? Primarily we do Facebook, Google, and YouTube ads. We don't really get into SEO. We do mainly those three ads. Our primary is Facebook. We think they have a great targeting platform, and then we like to retarget through Google. YouTube is a little different just because that's more industry specific, depending on what your product service is. You can be successful on YouTube, but that's a little bit different of a demographic. So it kind of all plays into kind of what you do and what you're selling.
Sure. That's actually a good segue into what you offer. So rattle off to us in bullet point fashion. No, I want more than that. But tell us what you offer.
Yeah, no, it's very, very simple and very kind of exactly what we've been talking about, right? So we offer kind of a full and complete marketing system from kind of beginning to end. So we come in, help you build out the exact strategy that we've kind of talked about, right? And finding your market, determining how that messaging wants to be portrayed to your audience, et cetera, where we're going to target. Then what we'll do is we'll build you out your complete system, whether that's email campaigns, follow-up sequences, pretty much everything. We offer optional CRMs where we can give that to our customers directly. We have an in-house ISA team where we'll directly book appointments for you. And then on the back end, we run the Facebook ads, Google ads, whatever that may be, to run the traffic through the funnel. So we're kind of a full stop lead generation all the way from front to end. And we really just try to automate and kind of put your business in a full system. So like I said, you can really just focus on the sales and the delivery side of things. You don't really have to worry about getting any leads or appointments or estimates, whatever you want to call them.
And what about landing pages as part of that system? Is it
yeah,
it something
so we
look
do,
at theirs if they have an awesome one, which is hardly ever the case. You use theirs, but you usually have to build something.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great question. So very similar to kind of what you said. If they
and
have
what is a landing
one,
page? Again, for the novices out there, define that first.
I like to
or sales page, whatever.
Compare it to a website is that it's just what you're optimizing for, right? So a website, it seems like you're optimizing more for information, whereas a landing page, you're optimizing for an action, like receiving something or giving your information in return to get something. So what you said, if their landing page or website can be optimized properly, then we kind of leave it. We do offer them, and we will kind of build them depending on what your offer is, how we feel like will best kind of satisfy your needs.
Yeah, because you don't want to click on an ad that talks about spatulas and then it's just a general homepage that isn't talking about spatulas at all, or whatever the case is. And even a lot of times they say, well, you could just send them to that tab on our services tab page or something. But that's
too many steps.
And a lot of times they spend a lot of money on this pretty website, but it's again there's not correct copywriting. The correct things aren't there to sell. It's not a sales page, and it needs to be redone or at least made better. And so what did you use? I asked you if you use for your website, you use ClickFunnels. Do you usually use the same platform for everybody, or do you use multiple different ones?
No, we actually have an in-house developed platform that we use where we can build landing pages. We can use a CRM. We can implement our team members, which is like an in-house ISA team. You kind of get your own dashboard with ad reporting. You can have your own CRM through there, get your own login. It's pretty cool. So you can if you have 3 team members with 3 different calendars, we can put 3 different team members in it, put 3 different calendars in it. So we can just kind of book directly to your calendar. It's pretty in depth, and it's a cool platform that we have.
Yeah, that's sweet. And for the ISAs, this is unique. A lot of agencies don't have ISAs in house. Some do, but not all. Especially right here in Central PA. What do they specialize in? Because usually they got to be kind of specialized at some kind of script or some kind of industry, right? Or what do you real estate?
So we actually train them in house ourselves. So we've kind of taken everything that we've found to work in terms of booking the meeting, appointment, however you want to say, right? And then we just train them based off of that. So we've taken some time to kind of see what the market needs, what the market responds to, and then we train them all in-house. So we basically try to say the follow-up is automated in terms of email, SMS, whatever, and then the ISA team will just kind of book. So if they book, then the sequence kind of gets canceled, you know what I mean? If they don't book, then they enter the sequence and kind of get nurtured, and that's kind of how we do it.
Are you trying to get the text automation in everywhere now, if possible?
That's a good question. It's a fine line that you kind of want to balance because it's a little more personal, and it's kind of in a little bit more of invasion of privacy. So that's a kind of a fine line that we're still trying to work with. We do it a little bit. I try not to be overbearing with it. You don't want to annoy them or kind of turn them off in any way, but it's a work in progress. I'll say that finding that perfect balance between the two is something that I think will always be kind of tweaking and finding the right formula.
Yeah. And they're always good for people like reminder stuff and that kind of
exactly
less salesy use, but you can always, if you're using your text, you can always have a link there to buy another thing or something with that reminder. So that's something that people always forget, your welcome sequence and your thank you sequence. That's a whole set of emails that everybody's going to open because they want to know they got their thing. They want their receipt for getting the thing. And you don't even have any marketing in that email or whatever, but that's a tangent. So what service businesses do you specialize in?
Yeah. So very similar to kind of like what my background is. When I worked as an in-house marketing director, I worked for like construction, landscaping, home service based companies. So that's kind of what we primarily focus on: real estate agents, construction companies, home service, landscaping, those type of things. If you provide a service, we can pretty much make it work, but those are primarily what we focus in because that's kind of what my background is. So it was a very easy transition. You know what I mean?
And are they, for those businesses, it's usually a lead capture is usually the call to action and the goal, or is it a call sometimes, or it's usually learn more and then trying to capture the info?
It's very lead captured. Yeah. I've tried.
Or a free quote. A lot of those can be a free quote or a free estimate or.
Exactly. Yeah. So for real estate, you know, I mean, it can be home evaluation and pretty much anything related to that. For construction or landscaping, it could be a free quote, free estimate, something of that nature. A lot of people, I mean, a ton of people take estimates, right? You just kind of want to see what the pricing is, and getting their information in your system is key. In terms of calling, we've tried it, we've tested it out, hasn't been as successful, right? Like, I'm always open to testing things and trying them. But we just haven't found as much success with it. So we just kind of stick to the lead capture, and then our kind of follow-up sequence is what the money maker is. So to say, that's kind of what brings in all the cash for our clients. So.
Yeah, it makes sense that Facebook, Instagram ads, nobody's looking to call. Again, they're not looking for things. They're doing other things. They see something, they may click on it and give an email and go about their business. But that's a big commitment to right then, in the middle of not looking for that thing, click a button and call about divorcing or buying a house or something. Most of these service businesses are fairly major. Even mowing the lawn, that's kind of something I got to think about, and I got to take some time, and I got to write things down when I talk to this person. So they're probably not going to click the call button. But if you're running a Google ad or something, maybe that makes more sense, because people are searching for that thing right now, and they, like I said earlier, they want that thing right now, and are maybe more apt to call. So do you ever use lead forms? Do you always use a landing page, or Facebook has the lead forms where you can have them just right in there, and you can almost build a whole landing page right in there?
Yeah, you can. I mean, so I mean, we've had success with both, right? And it's very, it's a good question, because it's not a lot of testing, but having kind of a variety of both is always the best, in my opinion, right? And it's a process, kind of finding what works the best for each company. I like to have a combination of both to start out, kind of adjust based off of that. That's kind of how we do our advertising strategies. We test a bunch of things in the beginning. Once we find what works, kind of double down. Just put all your chips in that corner. But we have a ton of success with lead forms as well.
Do you have a general number of ads you usually start out with? You might have multiple campaigns, and then each one has multiple audiences, and then each audience has multiple creatives.
Budget factors into that primarily. What's your
ideal? If someone said, I mean, not crazy, like let's go all out, but let's do a good solid, let's not talk about the whole funnel, just the front end cold traffic ads. How many?
Yeah, I try to do between 3 to 5, not too many. I think having
campaigns or ads? Ads.
Yeah. So I think, and what's worked the best for us is just having a few really successful ads that people just constantly see, and kind of get that brand awareness along with that call to action. And that's just kind of what's worked best. You can throw, if you don't know a ton about Facebook, one thing you'll think is that you can put 7 to 10 ads out there, and you just think like, oh, that's great. Like, there's going to be a ton of things. But one thing about Facebook is that they're going to optimize for what works the best. So if you have 7 ads out there, but 3 of them are performing the best, your entire budget, even if it's a ABO instead of CBO, which a lot of people may not know what that means, but those 3 ads that are performing the best, they're going to take all the budget. So those having 4 to 5 extras isn't really doing anything, because they're not getting any of the budget anyways. So that's kind of
or you at least watch them, and then so do you turn them off if you got like 3 to 5 ads going or whatever, you're watching it, do you just let yours run, or do you turn them off? Different people have different, it's almost just like a quirk about do you like to turn them off or not? Because it doesn't matter. Facebook's really smart, and it's going to serve people up the ones that they like, but people like me, I still feel like I need to just turn that one off, because I feel like I'm compulsive about it, or it does make a difference, but maybe it doesn't at all. What's your thought on it?
No, I mean, it doesn't really make a difference. I mean, as you know, Facebook is very pay to play, right? Just like any other advertising platform. I have like a little sneaky suspicion that if I keep them on Facebook's going to continue to reward me because it looks like I'm putting more content in front of them. I don't know if that's true or not. So that's just kind of what I do. There's a lot of things that people don't know about kind of the algorithm and how it all works, but I do keep them on, basically.
That does make sense because they want
want
variety.
content.
They don't want to serve up the same ad a billion times. If you watch they still have, I thought they were going to change it, frequency, or maybe and it tells you how many times one person has seen your ad. And if it's up at like 20 or something, you might want to change it. Well, Facebook will just stop showing it to people and you'll see it in your results a lot of times. But Facebook wants variety.
Yeah.
And I heard a quote one time, they used to want there was like a 21-day window and then it crept down and now it's like, they prefer if it was like every few days you got a new picture, a new video.
Yeah, it's like a 7-day window, give or take. But yeah, I mean,
which doesn't mean they're just going to turn them off at that because I have ones running for long periods of time that are exceptions and still perform or whatever. But
no, frequency is a great one. I mean, it's funny. It's like if you have a 5 to 7 frequency, that's like insanely good. So it's like I just keep them on just to kind of show that we have more content out there.
And then can you speak to budget, not the price? Well, you could speak to the 2 questions, budget for the ads. Can you speak to what you got to do to get any kind of results? Unless you're a ninja like me, there's a certain amount you kind of have to do.
Yeah. So we've found there's a specific daily amount that we require as a minimum, just because if you aren't willing to spend that, like that's no problem. We don't want to work with you until you're fully ready, because we want to make sure that you can get the best results possible. So if you're not willing to spend that, we don't feel like we can get you the best results possible. Therefore, we don't want to bring you on, which is no problem. We just want to make sure that you can get that, it's a daily budget, which a lot of people like. You can pick as a bunch of different options. I like to stick with the daily budget. It just works the best. So yeah, I can go into specific numbers if you want me to, but there is a minimum that we have that we like to stick with. And that minimum is going to play into factors based on your industry and what you're offering, all those things.
Right. So Facebook, for people that don't know, Facebook, you can technically go as low as $1 a day. So if anybody wants to go play around and start trying stuff out, the world's not going to explode. You could spend $1 a day and test things out and just kind of get to know the interface and all that kind of stuff and get started. And once you know what you're doing, that $1 a day can do a little bit of something, but not much. Typically you got to be 10, 20 at least minimum a day on Facebook, right? You know, a few hundred a month at least to get anything out of it.
Exactly. Yep, exactly. No, 10 to, I mean, that's a good range. Yeah. We don't spend anything less than $15 a day. Which is like you said. Yeah, which is like you said, a couple $100 a month, which in the grand scheme of things is really not a lot, especially if you're a construction company, for example. Like we work with construction companies. If you're a construction company selling a project at $7,000 for like a remodel bathroom or something, I don't know if that's an exact price range. I'm just saying, $500 to get a project for $700. Let's say that's what it cost you. That's not a lot at all. So there's budgets play into what you sell and all those type of things for sure. But a couple $100 is kind of a minimum.
Yeah, you can't spend $15 to sell a $10 t-shirt, but you can spend $500 to sell a house. So exactly. You have to look at it. And with the businesses you're targeting, it's that higher dollar, that higher ticket, so they can afford to put some budget into it and make it work. And if you compare it to, say, Google ads, Google, they force you. It's $15 is about the minimum. Facebook, I feel like they just want more people's money. They want to support small business. So they'll let everybody give them bucks and change.
They're
and
actually
stuff,
taking
and that all
your money. Yeah.
Adds up to billions of dollars unless you know what you're doing. But okay, so that gives a little idea. And I mentioned there on Google too, you're going to be spending at least $15. I think Google, I usually tell people $500 a month, or you're not really, even $15 a day on Google is not going to get you too much. Again, unless you're a ninja like me.
And you gotta think about it too. It's like with Google, you're targeting words instead of like specific areas most of the time. So it's like those words, anyone can target those words. So you're almost competing against the next person. Whereas in like Facebook, it's not that way, if that makes sense. So you have to be willing to spend the money to beat out the top competition. It's no different than anything else. Like if you want to be the best, you gotta compete with the best or whatever. So you have to be able to spend the capital.
And there are so many different Google types of ads. I named one, the Google Local Services ads, but there are all kind of different ads and placements and all kind of other things in the Google. Actually, I did want to ask you, your Google retargeting ads that you mentioned that you do sometimes, are those banner display ads, or which ads do you use?
So we do local service. We use PPC. Display, the bounce rate gets a little high in my opinion. So mostly local service, very similar to what you're talking about, just because those are the type of companies that we work with. I've had some success with display, but I feel like the bounce rate just gets a little too high, so I try to avoid them.
Nice. Have you had success with the Google Local Services ads? Are you liking those or not?
We have. I still think social media is the best, but they're a good alternative.
Yeah, and that's where everybody should be throwing their reviews. Don't put them on. Well, Zillow might be good time spent, but I don't put them on anywhere else. Don't use your company's thing that they try to get you to automate to put reviews. Send them your Google link and boost where people are looking for realtors in Albuquerque, New Mexico, or wherever they're moving to.
Yeah, don't. I mean, even if they're on Facebook, it's not really going to do anything for you.
No, and Google does look at it does kind of display, and they do say Google likes to see you have one on Bing and you kind of have a good standing on all these. So it's worth it to build those out and have them nice, but spend the time on Google for sure, I think. Anyway.
Absolutely. Nope, I 100% agree.
Any other services you want to mention before we do our funny question that has nothing to do with anything?
No, that's about it. Honestly, we just specialize in one service and we do it really well, and we don't try to really branch out other than that. So if you're looking for some ads and to generate some leads on autopilot, then we're your guys.
And how does it start usually? We'll put after the funny question, we'll put your information and your offer and everything after that. But how does what's your sales cycle entry point? Does it start with a discovery call, or how does it start?
Yeah, so it's a very similar kind of process. Like we like to take the call and just learn a little bit about your company, kind of what you're struggling with. Like some people think they need one thing, when in reality, for marketers, you actually need something else. So like if we don't think that we can help you or what you need isn't kind of the right opportunity or the right fit, then we don't really work with you. Like we want it to be the best fit as possible. So we kind of take that call, learn a little bit about you, see if what we do can actually help you. If it doesn't, like I know a lot of other people that probably could help you, that we kind of steer you that way. If we can, then we kind of go to the next steps, which is, tell you a little bit about our process, show you a demo, and then kind of go from there.
Awesome. Sounds pretty straightforward and pretty much like every service business. They're always looking for what's my call to action, or what's my free discovery call, free quote, free estimate, all those standard ones. If you can get creative with those standard ones, that's nice. All right. Funny random question. I literally Google funny questions. There's 81 on this list. So pick a number between 1 and 81, and I'll ask you that question.
All right. I'll go with 7.
7. Lucky number 7. Oh, I love this one. And
great.
I actually heard somebody on Clubhouse. I know you're not in the Clubhouse, but I was in a room. It's actually an afternoon delight comedy show. So every afternoon, a bunch of comedians do like sets on there. I like comedy. But anyway, they were asking funny questions, and somebody said, my favorite question to ask is this: how many chickens would it take to kill an elephant?
Oh, man.
And I was feverishly pushing my hand raise because I wanted to go up on stage and give my answer.
I'm gonna go with 1. Because 1. Because if I don't know if they eat like chickens, but if they ate the chicken and choked on it, it could kill them.
Yeah, that's true. That beak.
So I'm gonna go with 1.
Or if it just deliberately flew up in there.
Yeah, it would only take 1. A really interesting scenario, but it would only take 1.
And it would be a kamikaze mission too. It's a suicide.
Yeah.
Send the old bird that's got nothing left to live for. That's funny. I said it would take as many chicken, an equal weight as the elephant for the chickens. So
that's a lot of chickens.
Equal number of chickens as weight of the elephant to actually take it down, or close, at least half, because they got to be able to weight it and just lots of pecking to get through that stuff.
Yeah, that's a lot of chickens. That's a lot.
That's a lot of chickens. Just put that on a t-shirt. All right. Tell everybody where to find you, and then we'll tell them your special offer.
Yeah, absolutely. You can just find us right at my Facebook, just Dylan Gehr. I just use my personal Facebook. You can kind of check out there. I got a bunch of results on there. You can also visit us at just djgmedia.com. Very simple. Those are the best places to find us.
And then what's the special offer you got for everybody?
Yeah, so our pay structure is a little bit different than most. Sorry, so we like to get paid when you get paid. So we're a performance-based company, right? So we have an initial setup fee to kind of get everything set up and started out, and then we just are performance-based after that. So we are offering 50% off the setup fee right now. So there's no better time to kind of get started. The performance fee or the setup fee is half off, so you can kind of get started, and then everything else is performance-based on the back end.
Awesome. That's great. And there is setup. I know. I used to do stuff.
The hardest
there was
part,
no setup or just simply getting access to their ad account, or maybe you do it in your own ad account. Maybe you do it a different way, but I do it. So they own everything. I get access to it. And the whole onboarding system I had to start charging for because it's work, and they usually don't know the password to their Instagram, and they don't know this or that. So it's a lot of work. You got to kind of do that. So 50% off. That's a good one. I like to see a 50. A lot of times we get a 10 or a 20, and it's like, come on, that's not an irresistible offer like we need to see. So that's awesome. And I'm going to leave it up ticking somewhere if I can do it. I'll put it up. You guys will find it in the email later, and it's in the description with that bit.ly link. Or you can just hit them up and tell them you saw the show and probably get it. A few announcements. A few announcements before we go out. What? No, I knew there was something I was going to do before we do announcements. We got a couple. We saw Marshall's comments. Deanna Slamans, my son wants to join a pro sports team as a business manager. Awesome. Deanna, I know her through my family. They live in Hershey. They do a couple of things. Entrepreneurs. Good entrepreneurs. What should he major in for college? You want to throw an answer to that real quick for Deanna? I doubt she's still watching. Maybe she is. I don't know.
If she's still watching, definitely check out Kutztown Sports Management Program. That's where I went. They do a really good job of kind of integrating you into different professional sports teams. They have a lot of guest speakers that can give a lot of information in that. So even though I didn't go down that route, they do have a lot of good options that I would definitely check that out.
Awesome. And she also said persuasion is like marketing. That must have been a while ago when we were talking about that. Yeah, it is. Well, in the copy, you got to write persuasive copy words. For those of you that don't know what copy means in copywriting, that means the words in the ad and the words on the landing page, and the words and copywriting is huge. It's my most difficult, or it's the hardest part for me when I am creating an ad. All the rest of it's somewhat easy. And then as soon as I get to those words, what does the headline need to say? What does the copy, the main description need to say? It's all very important and plays a lot into it. And I agonize too much maybe sometimes. But
yeah, no, if you're a good copywriter, you can make a lot of money. It is a really impressive skill. I will say that.
It is totally. So where was I here? Nice comment. Oh, we got a new one. She was watching. Maybe. Let's see. No, Anthony Fayoni, wellness coach. And more than that, I can help with ethical influence in language. What do you mean? Hit us up with another question. Do you know what he means there?
No, it kind of cut out there. I'm not really. I missed.
He means persuasion. He's talking about persuasion, I think, and doing it in an ethical and nice. Hypnosis. Yeah, totally. Obviously, he does hypnosis. He could do good copying in person and sell something to somebody. He's been on my show before, and if you need a hypnotist, he's the guy to go to, and other things. He also does
That's pretty cool.
Mindset coaching and all that kind of stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah, cool dude, and in shape. Works out, all that kind of stuff. I tend to feel an affinity with other people that play sports and still work out and are fit and all that kind of stuff. So thanks for watching, Anthony. And I got to look at the clock before we go over. All right. Lots of questions or comments this time. That's good. Business spotlight. Sure. If you're interested in one, hit us up. And it consists of Greg coming out to your business and doing a showing behind the scenes, so to speak, showing how the sausage is made. You saw him at the Ninja Warrior place. He tried to do the warped wall. He did make it. It was the middle one, but he did make it up there. I've done the tall one just for the record. I bet you could do the tallest one.
I'm fairly athletic. I could probably do it.
Yeah, totally. It's not that bad. Once you actually, the hard part is just committing to jump for it. Because if you miss it, you're just face planting and sliding down.
Yeah, those people are crazy though. Those people are impressive.
Yeah, and they've also done the whole course before they're trying to do that, so it's a little bit more impressive. But if you're interested in a business spotlight package, which consists of that and talk here with me, an interview a little bit more in depth, like you're seeing with me and Dylan, and a networking mixer at your business. If you have a place of business, a retail location, or an office or something you want to have a mixer at, we can do that. If you're interested in our special offers, like you got from Dylan here, join our email list. It's 1 email a week. I'm a little bit behind on that, but we're going to get caught up this Monday, and his offer and the rest will be in there. We usually run them for about 30 days each, and they'll be in each week's email, and it says when they're expiring and everything. So you can catch in the description Dylan's special offer or in the weekly email. If you're watching on LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, any other place, please head over to Facebook and join our Facebook group, Central PA Supports Small Business. Lots of good stuff going on in there. That's where I met Dylan. I posted in there, said, hey, I need this thing right away. I got boom, 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 boom. Lots of great answers. Or if you need a plumber, or even weird things, somebody posted that they needed a shed moved from one side of the yard to the other side of the yard. Who can do that? And she got a bunch of answers and got it done well. So please head over there and support small business. If you're a business, you can get business. And if you need a small business for something, it's a really good place to go. What else? Follow me on Clubhouse. I'm at Agent Derek. Contact me if you're buying or selling home. Like I said, we need inventory really, really bad. Text me, email me, throw a rock through my window, send a carrier pigeon, whatever you need to do. And my calls for my local services ads have gone through the roof, and my views on my Google business have gone through the roof in the last month or so. And part of that is just because I've been concentrating on it and really working on it. But part of it, I think, is the market's just a lot of people are searching for real estate or real estate agents. So hit me up if you need to do any of those things. Remember to support Central PA small businesses like Dylan's. Get that special offer and get a funnel going, especially if you're a service business with a higher ticket. You should have some kind of ads running and some kind of funnel going to scale your business. Thanks for watching and listening, and say goodbye to everybody, Dylan.
Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it, and look forward to talking to you guys soon.
See everybody.